All right, everyone, here's our first case study for betterforgrownups.com. It's a blog that we'll be using to discuss kind of the distressed property situations, foreclosures around the area. I've bought in several states, Ohio, Texas, spent a great deal of time in California, and now we're here in Colorado buying a lot of properties here. Um, it's part of our pocket change ideas, which is basically a concept for others to make some money, make extra income besides their jobs in different kind of ways that don't require a job, the same type of hours. It certainly does require a lot of expertise, and foreclosures isn't one of those things that I'll say everyone can just do. It's not that easy. So really quickly, let's go through the first thing. So what will happen during the foreclosure auctions at the public trustee sales? Every single week, the public trustee will come out with a list of foreclosures. This one, it happens to be 7 pages long. Of note, what you really have to understand is this is not for the risk averse. This publishing comes out and you only have 24 hours to get it all done. And that's why I say people that think they can be part-time and do foreclosures are probably mistaken, because they probably don't have the nerve nor the time to get through all the things that you need to do. I've been doing this for since 2001, so it comes kind of second nature. So what you'll get is this list. So I've got a 7-page list. The public trustee will show you who the person that got the loan was, a legal description, the actual property itself, who the bank is that's foreclosing against them. They have to publish it a certain amount of times in the paper, all those different things. And then the more important thing is, what are they going to open the bid at the auction? So in this case, this particular property was $132,000. The bank is openly saying, we're going to take a $32,000 haircut on what's really owed to us in hopes of enticing people to bid. So with that, let's go into the first property that we did buy at the auction. Well, not first property ever, but one that we're going to discuss. So it's on 1635 Little Bear Creek Point. What you can see is that the previous owner his name was Brian Yaninek. What's interesting about him is he's in the mortgage business, and he also happens to have a unit that's directly above this one that I may go after at some point in the future. Of note is, right away, is when I'm looking at these things, you want to know what you're getting into. So this one's a condo, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, 1,159 square feet, built in 2005, and it has an attached garage for this condo unit, which is really appealing to most people that want to buy stuff, especially for townhomes. They list who the trustee is. They also, in this case, this shows you the winning bidder, because this is after the fact. This is 2 weeks later. The auction was actually 11/25/2015, right? So it shows us, Rocky Mountain Metropolitan LLC, is the winner of this particular bid. What you also have to note when you go through these things is title is so important in all these things. So what you can see over here is that the first loan is what's going to foreclosure, to the sale. There's $128,000. But you have to note that there's a second loan here for $25,000. The best way to look at it is the reception number. You can see that the 74138 comes before the 74139, meaning that because we're bidding on this one is going to be wiped off. If we were going to be bidding, let's say that Greenpoint Mortgage here was the one that was foreclosing, and they started at $25,000, people are always mistaken that, oh, I might pick up a property for $25,000. That's not true. It's a second. You would inherit this, and your investing career would be over if you inherited 128 on top of the 25 of this and actually had to bid with someone else for it. Okay, let's go to the auction analysis itself and go over that. So on the 25th, we went in there. The opening bid for this particular property on Bear Creek was $108,801. As a shortcut here, you can see that Zillow says it's worth 180. Zillow can be wrong or right on a lot of things, but in this case, they were actually right when you do some comparison with the MLS and do all your comps and everything. So I felt very comfortable with going in to bid on this at $108,000. What you can see is I didn't get it for that, and people usually live this dream of, oh yeah, I'll be the only guy to go in and win this thing, and it never works out that way. So I bid against the usual people. I won it for $142,000. And so what we want to know is, what does that look like? Now, there are a couple things that we really have to understand with this. I bid and won this thing at 142, and all I knew was this stuff, or that's all what most novice people will know, right? And they're going to go bid on it. that's a scary thing to do. So what you ought to be doing once you find out this is you need to go look at the properties itself. You don't know if there's been, fire damage. You don't know if there's been flooding. You don't know if pipes have frozen. All that other things, those things happen when these things are left and they're empty. So you go and take a look at the property. I couldn't get inside this particular property. No one answered. All I heard was a barking dog on the other end. At least I know the electricity's good, that kind of stuff. So what I opted to do was knock on the neighbor's doors, left, right, up and down, and talk to them about who lives in there and what's going on. And you'd be amazed at the wealth of information you're going to get from doing that and not being scared to go talk to people about stuff. As long as you're not an idiot and you don't go and just say off the wall things. A lot of people in distressed situations will sit and talk with you and want to know more about it, because usually they're in the dark about it and they don't understand what's going on. So we wanted at 142. I did talk to enough neighbors to find out that I was comfortable with bidding on it. Okay, so what does that look like? When I won that at 142, you can see I put that in here. It's worth 180. Anytime you see those shows about, oh, there's this amount you have, of equity in between the two, they're not telling you the truth, right? Anytime you sell something, there are costs associated with that. So, broker's commissions, routine closing costs. I'm probably going to have to pay seller pay closing costs that I don't have in here, that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, my gross proceeds are going to be about 167,220, which leaves us a total profit of $25,000. That's pretty good for a deal like this. And so that's what that deal looks like. Now, what we did is slightly different with these folks because I have a military background and my heart goes out to the military. We had renters in there. So this guy, Brian, was not the guy that was living in there at all. And he was renting to people, taking their rent, and not paying the mortgage, which is rent skimming. It drives me nuts when I hear stories like this. So what I did is I opted to rent to this couple for $1,100 a month. The auctions are an all-cash deal. You're not going to get a loan for this kind of stuff. You show up to the public trustee, you give them your money, and when you give them your money, you're not getting it back. So you better be sure that you've not messed up title, or that there's not frozen pipes, or that there's more work, that kind of stuff. So like I said, I've been doing this a long time, so none of this bothers me. So I spoke with the renters, very cooperative folks. You'll see that in the other video. They let me go through it for the first time. You'll see that in the video. And renting it for $1,100 a month buys this thing down another $13,000, $14,000, right? So it's like I bought this thing for $130 instead. So my total profit in a year is going to be much better than this investor ROI. This is just the investor ROI of 12.4%. And an annualized, if I were to flip it in 153 days, which is about what we do, of 30%. The deal's going to be much better than that. So I want you guys to understand how lucrative foreclosures can really be if you're willing to accept the risk involved, or just if you find a guy like me who can invest for you because you don't have the time. Like I said, this isn't for the faint of heart, but it's by and large over the last 17 years way better than the stock market. So I'm safe with it. You have an asset, you get to make a decision about it. So take a look at the other pictures of when we go through the actual foreclosure itself. And if you guys got questions, let me know. But again, this is a pretty good deal as a case study one to look at. All right, thanks.